Could you please be seated so that we can start our session? And I would request everyone to kindly put your mobile phones on silent mode. Okay, this session is a book launch of Rima Abbasi's book, Ajmer Sharif Awakening of Sufism in South Asia. And the moderator for our session is Alia Iqbal Naqvi. Yes, I know that. I'm looking at the others. Okay. Alia Iqbal Naqvi is a faculty of history at the Department of Social Sciences and Liberal Arts IBA and a PhD candidate at Howard University in the history and culture of the Islamic world. Her research interests are in the areas of history, of ideas, and the transmission of knowledge. I invite Alia to start the session.
Thank you. It's still, yeah, that's better. Rima Abbasi, can I please also invite our panelist, Mr. Yusuf Bashir, to come up on stage? This is an official book launch, so we will start with Ms. Amina Sayed, who will officially launch Rima Abbasi's Ajmer Sharif in Karachi at KLF. अच्छा नहीं आप दोनों खिंचवाएं बिल्कुल हाँ
I'd like to congratulate Rima Abbasi on this delightful book. It's not a coffee table book, although it has 200 very beautiful illustrations. But I think it'll give you a wonderful glimpse into Ajmer Sharif, the rituals, the monuments, and of course the pilgrims who visit from all faiths. And I certainly found it a riveting read. And as Rima said, it's really a counter-narrative to what's happening, and it's a great attempt to promote diversity and the plurality that we all think highly of. This is your second book, Rima. Congratulations. And I'm sure the book will be hugely successful. So all my best and congratulations on the launch in Karachi or in Pakistan of this book. Thank you.
Thank you. Amina has done such a good job of introducing the book that I don't have to do anything other than start by asking Rima to tell us why she wrote this book. Why did you write this book?
Thank you for being here on a Sunday morning. The reason for... I feel that we're living in times where there's an absolute necessity of Muinuddin Chishti and our heritage of unity, which is, the Chishti Sufi order, and which is our paramount Sufi order in South Asia. And it's the most inclusive order, whether it's faith or whether it's gender. And these are times when we are seeing genocides everywhere, and this is a saint who grappled from the age of 14 to the age of over 60, because he arrived in Hindustan at 50, with various strains of conflict through Eastern Persia and all his life till he reached Hindustan, where there was perhaps greater orthodoxy than we see around us today. And that, instead of embittering him or picking up the sword with the others, forced him to begin or inspired him to begin a communal kitchen in a mud hut. So today, we have Muinuddin Chishti Sahib, who says that hunger is above every doctrine, every creed, because there's no greater force. And that is the paramount truth that we need to embrace with this heritage of unity that we are so privileged to have and attack constantly in these times. So that is why I showcased this with this argument.
It's clear from the minute you open the first page of the book that it's a labor of love and faith. It starts with a line that any novelist or poet would envy you, Rima. She says, "It was an extraordinary Monday when I died. The summons over many months were overwhelming. They fell on a spirit caged in the din of orthodoxy by self-styled defenders of real faith." And soon after that, Rima produces for us, in a beautiful English translation, what is supposed to be the last address of Muinuddin Chishti to his followers before he passed on from this mortal abode. It's so simple. Love all and hate none. Mere talk of peace will avail you naught. Mere talk of God and religion will not take you far. Bring out all the latent powers of your being and reveal the full magnificence of your immortal self. Be overflowing with peace and joy, and scatter them wherever you are and wherever you go. Be a blazing fire of truth, be a beauteous blossom of love, and be a soothing balm of peace. With your spiritual light, dispel the darkness of ignorance. Dissolve the clouds of discord and war, and spread goodwill, peace, and harmony among the people. I think this is a good moment to bring in our panelist, Yusuf Bashir Saab, into the discussion. What would you like to say to our audience about the importance of Muinuddin Chishti's message?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Sabse pehle to I'm really honored for Karachi Literature Festival to host an event like this. Secondly, to Rima to document something and being part of some great history that we all are a part of. And third, for selecting me to come and talk about this book, because this book is very close to me. Like Ajmer is very close to me. I don't know whether a lot of people know or not. My mother is from Ajmer. And I got a chance recently to visit Ajmer also a couple of times. And the place is magical. And, this book is also magical because it is a pictorial book mostly. And I'm a visual person, so every photograph reminded me of something in Ajmer. And everything in Ajmer reminds you of something. So thank you so much for this service, I would say, of creating history. And a lot of people have asked me, recently I'd gone to Sevan and someone had sent me a question there, why do palaces, we've seen palaces and they erode and they become khandrat, and why do these shrines thrive? So I told them, man is made with force and the other one's made with love. And that's why love will always flourish. And this magic of Ajmer, I had written a poem. I'm going to recite 2 lines from it. And the verses changed when I came back from Ajmer. I'd written this in Punjabi and it said that it started with लोहा लाइयां बंदियां नाल, यानी कि हमने उम्मीद लगाई लोगों से, लोहा लाइयां बंदियां नाल लभदे फिरदे रब्बा नू, and we look for God, have hopes in people and we look for God. कदे खूह भी टुर के आउंदे ने जे प्यास लगे जद लोकां नू. Do the wells come to the thirsty? But when I came back from Ajmer, the share changed. ਉਸ ਲੋਹਾਂ ਲਾਈਆਂ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਲੱਭਦੇ ਫਿਰਦੇ ਰੱਬਾ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਖੂਹ ਵੀ ਟੁਰ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਜੇ प्यास लगे जद लोगों ਨੂੰ अगर आपकी शिद्दत प्यास की इतनी है तो कुएं भी आपके पास चल के आते हैं और ये मैंने प्यार का समा अजमेर में देखा है saw this in Ajmer and I felt it and it was beautiful. Salman, who's also a very dear friend, I was there for his wedding also, it was historic. And Rima, thank you so much for reuniting me with my amazing memories of my ancestors and my recent memories of Salman's wedding and other beautiful time that I spent there. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being here.
Okay. Now I can ask a few slightly difficult questions. And they come up, you know, when one looks at a book like this. It is very personal. It captures the experiences of the devotees who today vitalize the memory of this man and this place. It's pictorially gorgeous and transports you in a way that just the written word might not. But it is also a book written in English prose. And Rima, somewhere in the book you yourself say that the Sufi side of Islam, tasawwuf, this culture, is the poetic side of Islam. So what are the difficulties in translating that ethos and sensibility into exposition in English? Because English is such an expository language, especially in prose.
Yes, well, first of all, the research was in Persian, and that was very, very difficult to get through because at Aligarh Muslim University was, you know, where most of the research is available. And there, you know, from 16th century, you know, these Persian manuscripts, which are basically turning to powder, and they're trying their best to preserve them, but they don't let you near them. So they said that, you know, you can sit here and take notes, but you can't touch it, you can't photograph it, you can't photocopy anything. And I'd said, well, you know, then get me a visa for 4 years because there's very little I can do in 15, 20 minutes in this huge library. So yes, that is the main problem with the book was, which took a year and a half, was the research. And we have very little information on Muinuddin Chishti and the monuments in the compound, in the complex. The Mughal and Maratha rulers, their histories, the graves of many noblemen and royal princesses and princes that are buried there. So it's an entire dharti over there, you know, of not just the complex, the Anna Sagar Lake, the monuments beside the lake, the Chillagas. And in Pakistan, we assume that there are one seat of Chishti Silsila, which is Pakpatan Sharif, but there are actually 5. So yes, like you asked, that how difficult it was to bring it from Persian to Urdu, to find Urdu different places where there were some accounts in Urdu and then bring them into English. It sort of left me with a feeling that, you know, this perhaps should be the non-fiction for a few years, the last non-fiction for a few years.
Actually, you do a really nice job of balancing things out, playing reporter, playing historian, and seeker.
Seeker, yes.
You know? And I've been to Ajmer, I've read about it, but pictorially, I like the way this book lays out and really brings home how this particular spot has been so important to people, but Muslims in South Asia from the 12th, 13th century onwards, because around the complex there is this beautiful material evidence of of rulers and kings and princes who have felt that they needed to pay homage to this shrine and this place, starting with the Arhai Din Ki Masjid, which is
Yes.
Qutbuddin Aibak?
Yes.
Yes, Qutbuddin Aibak. So right in the beginning, 13th century, down to people like the Nawab of Rampur and the Nizam of Hyderabad in the 20th century. सबने कुछ ना कुछ वहाँ बनवाया है.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that, Rima? I found that fascinating.
It is quite amazing, yes. Shah Jahan's youngest daughter is buried there, Hurun Nisa. Then there is various graves of noblemen, Aurangzeb's top soldiers. Then there are lots of graves of. There's one very interesting grave, which is Nizam Sakka grave. And he was the ruler of India for a day because he saved Humayun's life when he was drowning, fleeing from a battle. And Nizam Sakka means Nizam, and he was a Bahishti, a water carrier. And that's accounted here, and there were many debates, especially by P.M. Curry, that there's no such grave in the complex. So I found a descendant, the last descendant recorded, and his account recorded of Nizam Sakka, Hafiz Abbasi he is, and he speaks about his entire lineage, and then how Nizam Sakka, when he was filling his bag with water to take back to the shrine from the river, found that there was this man, flailing in the middle of the river and asking for help, and that was actually Emperor Humayun who was drowning. So once Humayun won that battle, he called for Nizam Sakka and asked him what he would like from him for saving his life, and he said that he would like to rule India for a day. And so yes, it's Nizam Sakka, the ruler of India for a day, and he is buried there. So yes, there's lots there. There's the Akbari Masjid. There is the Chittor Kusha Degh. These are and the mementos from Akbar. Actually, I think I have a personal bias towards Akbar, and his are absolutely fabulous. Very much simpler than his more flamboyant son, but definitely more powerful. Definitely, much like the emperor himself. So yes.
Rima, you mentioned when we opened that for you the Chishtiya Silsila in South Asia is the most inclusive, and you mentioned caste, creed, and gender. One of my favorite parts in the book are the chapters on the women of Muinuddin Chishti's family. I had no idea about these stories. Can you briefly share with our audience the story of his wife, Bibi Ummatullah?
Yes, the Chishti Silsila is actually very, very inclusive of women, and it's perhaps the only, even in Sufi silsilas, the only silsilas where you have women caliphs. Muinuddin Chishti himself made his daughter Bibi Hafza Jamal a caliph, and most of the major saints in this silsila lost their fathers when they were children. So they were raised by their mothers or older sisters, or in Muinuddin Chishti's case, he was orphaned at 14. So he had a spiritual mentor, Usman Haruni, and then when he reached Hindustan at 50, there was war and there was bloodshed and mayhem with Hindu orthodoxy all around in Ajmer, and he was nursed back to life, actually, not just health, by a Rajput princess who he then married, who was much younger than him, and she actually shaped him and the man and brought out the gave his philosophy the shape of a communal kitchen, of a pluralism, of embracing humanity as a whole. And then he introduced Qawwali to us. So Nizamuddin, on the other hand, his mother again raised him, and Mai Saiba, who's buried in Delhi. And then we have Baba Farid, hugely influenced by his adopted sister, Bibi Fatma Sam, also buried in Delhi. And then Muinuddin Chishti's daughter played a major role in his life, more than his 3 sons. So, yeah, whether it is particularly encouraging towards women, includes them, and unfortunately, we don't see it in the seats of his lineage, spiritual lineage, but in his own home, in the Sanctum Sanctorum, even today, there is no difference or separation, segregation. Men and women are in there together. If the langar to date is, vegetarian or porridge or sweet, so every faith can partake of it. In every way, Muinuddin Chishti lives on in that form. So which is why this book wants to say, and I'll just quote 2 lines from it to give you an idea why I wrote this book. However, at the end of the story, little is clearer than a singular stabbing message. No one has the power to halt another's path. And if we do, then in the name of which interpretation of divinity? Which is a very important question of our times. What divinity are we playing? Because today we're talking about, we're in a time where we have Shia genocide, we have Ahmadi genocide, we have Christian genocide, we have, all sorts of mayhem, we have blasphemy rising in these times when we should be able to question it or revisit it. And there is a dire need for a form of revival of Islam, because we can't hope for a secular setup. So that revival can only come with, when we go back to our heritage of unity, which is Sufism, to our scriptures, to our, Sharia also, and bring a change which somehow brings out the secular ethos of Islam, as well. And this is the reason that, basically why I showcased a life which embodies this message.
Thank you, Rima. Yusuf Saab, would you like to speak to that?
End of the day, this is why we were made. We were made to unite, and these people united people. And to this day, they're still uniting. People from all faiths, all backgrounds, all colors, all creeds, come out there. Why do they come there? Muinuddin Chishti did not give them cash. And the porridge, I tried it. It's not very delicious. It has its own taste.
But it fills the stomach.
Huh?
Fills the stomach.
And nourishes
Yes,
the soul.
it fills the soul. But one thing was, this is the reason why, these people were there to unite us all. And to this day also, this thing happens. And we are also sitting in that land, Thatta, Sindh, that people usually go to their homes to die. And all these people came to our homes to die. So there must be something beautiful. It wasn't our good looks or great weather. It is because we accepted everyone. We were good people. We were once very good people. And Muinuddin Chishti's legacy lives on. And he was the man who united the Bar-e-Saghir, the subcontinent, in these beautiful voices and his message. And that message carries on in all of us. And I think there are no more messengers coming, and so we are the messengers. And the messengers to unite. These religions were made to unite people, and they became the reasons to divide us all. So let's unite us all. Thank you so much, Rima, for this. Salman
Thank
Chishti
you.
and Noor. Alia, thank you for moderating.
Thank you.
Should we open it up to questions, Rima? I have the first one, though. Are you thinking about doing another book on the 5 important Chishti sites in Pakistan? We all only know Pakpatan. I think most people don't know the other 4.
Not at all.
Not at all. Acha, okay, fine. All right then.
There's a reason, I must say. Because they're all in close to southern Punjab, unfortunately. There are only 3 seats that are able to practice the Chishti, traditions, which is Maharvi Sharif, Taunsa Sharif, Pakpatan Sharif. And then we come to Sial and Golra Sharif, and they have taken on a whole other hue. So it's all a tussle between madrasas and peace and unity. So it'll be difficult.
All right. Audience questions, please. We invite the audience. Young man, SN.
जी अस्सलामुअलैकुम। बहुत खुशी की बात है कि आज ये बाहर का बसंत का मौसम भी शुरू होने वाला है और इस हवाले से सूफिया कराम में बसंत भी सेलिब्रेट की जाती थी, और जैसे कि ये बड़ी खुशनसीबी की बात है कि इस जगह हज़रत ख्वाजा मोइनुद्दीन चिश्ती अजमेरी का और दीगर बुज़ुर्गान दीन का ज़िक्र हुआ, और हज़रत अमीर खुसरो अलैहि रहमत का भी इसमें बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन है, क़व्वाली का ज़िक्र हुआ और उन्होंने बसंत के हवाले से भी कलाम होता था। तो मैं आपका शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ। इस मौके से फ़ायदा उठाते हुए 2 शेर ख्वाजा मोइनुद्दीन चिश्ती के हवाले से इजाज़त हो तो अर्ज़ करूँ। जी, निहायत शौक़ है मौला मोइनुद्दीन चिश्ती का, बहुत मुश्ताक़ है बंदा मोइनुद्दीन चिश्ती का, मैं दीवाना चला आया हूँ उठ के बेसरो सामा, मेरे सर में उठा सौदा मोइनुद्दीन चिश्ती का, रियाज़े खुल्द है अजमेर की हर जड़ी बूटी, बहार हुस्न है गुलबोटा मोइनुद्दीन चिश्ती का, शराबे चिश्त दिल से जोश खा के मुँह से बह निकली, मजाक ऐसा हिम्मत वाला मोइनुद्दीन चिश्ती का।
Wow,
Thank
wow.
you. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Here, we have one here, please.
Yes, thank you. So, my question was that with the growing strength of the Awqaf Foundation, right, in Pakistan, the way that shrines have now functioned and the relationships that the Sufi orders and the Gatti Nasheens have with the government has changed drastically over the last 10 years. Right? In fact, when Sir's said he's come from Sevan Sharif, in Sevan Sharif, the presence of the Awqaf is very, very apparent, and the Gatti Nasheens there are not too happy with it, right? And they're openly not too happy with it. My question is the relationship between the Indian government and shrines in India different from that as to how the Pakistani government and the relationship with the shrines over here?
Yes, it is. It is quite different. It is very reverential. And I think here the difference is that our people are very reverent towards this heritage. These places are always packed wherever you go, whenever you go, even despite bomb blasts and any way to attack this culture and lineage. But I don't see much governmental support, of course. That was the main problem that these seats are grappling with, that they collect their own charity and put it into maintenance somehow, and they're all beautiful shrines, but it's all self-help really. Whereas in India it's very different. It's accepted by everybody because it is embraced as a pluralistic, heritage, and supported hugely by the government. Although I know the government of the day, but it still supports it. Yes.
मेरे पास माइक ऑलरेडी है, अगर मुझे
मैंने यूसुफ साहब कुछ कहना चाह रहे थे उस समय।
मैं ये कह रहा था कि इंडिया में yes there's far more tolerance than there is here in terms of religion. वहाँ हिंदू भी आते हैं, there are Muslims, Hindus, Christians, people of all faiths. So there it's much, because the madrasa is much stronger here. So it is the madrasa that affects, and yes, it is, they have power. The Gatti Nasheens have more power than the ministers. So that's why the ministers go there to seek power. So the government is hand in hand here and there also, but they are a little bit more careful, and here, I think, most of them are in the government, so that's the difference.
They have their own problems of extremism and intolerance.
They do.
जी रीमा, किताब तो अभी हमने नहीं पढ़ी है, पढ़ेंगे इंशाल्लाह। एक चीज़ मुझे बड़ी इंट्रीग करती है कि जिस किस्म की सूफीज़म हमने बरे सग़ीर में देखी, हमने कहीं और, जिसे हम सो कॉल्ड आलम इस्लाम कहते हैं, उसमें हमें कहीं नहीं मिलती। क्या ऐसी कोई, जब आप रिसर्च कर रही थी, डिड यू फाइंड एनी lineage of such practice even before Muslims came here? किसी किस्म का इस शक्ल में ना हो, लेकिन सूफीज़म का कोई स्पिरिट क्या इस खित्ते में पाई जाती है जिसकी वजह से यहाँ जब ये लोग आए तो ये इस किस्म की सूफ़ी शख्सियत बन सके, क्या कुछ इसका ताल्लुक़ हमारे ख़ित्ते से है या कुछ अनोखी बात हो गई है?
Imran, as always, I mean, I was expecting a difficult question and it came from you. Thank you. No, actually, the beauty of Sufism is that it's a confluence of so many cultures and it's a confluence of so many different faiths and, you know, acceptance of so many faiths. So, मुझे कोई उसका replica अगर आप ये पूछ रहे हैं history में as such तो नहीं मिला. But yes, I mean, Qawwali countered bhajans at that time, and you know, in the countered se matlab ke Sufism flourished along with, say, Ajmer mein aaj bhi pushkar se phool aate hain, so that kind of thing. But yes, I mean, it is unique, like Urdu, it is unique because it's a confluence of so much.
The specific expression of the ritual culture.
Yes.
Right? Of South Asian Sufi orders.
Chishti
of course,
especially.
is unique.
Yeah.
But it's true everywhere. North Africa mein unka apna
hai,
you know, har jagah apna hai. Lekin there are commonalities also. This is the big conundrum of understanding and talking about Islam and things Islamic, this unity and diversity that go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So across the Muslim world, across the Alam-e-Islam, there are in all sorts of expressions of Sufism, at least two people who everybody reads and reveres. One is Ibn Arabi, who's from Andalus, and one is Maulana Rumi, who's from Anatolia. So it is a global phenomenon.
Absolutely.
Are we out of time? Thank you so much. Thank you, Rima.
Thank you very much. Thank you.